Hi, it's Bruce Parker, and I'm here this morning with Jack Pedersen of Jack Pedersen Realty. Good morning, Jack.
Good
How are
morning,
you?
sir.
And we're going to talk to Jack this morning about a lot of things. But the first question I have is, Jack, take us back to the beginning. What were you doing before you got into real estate?
Immediately before real estate, I was working with Merrill Lynch as a financial advisor.
So you got to understand how money works and how loans work and all that business before
Yeah,
you got into real estate.
yes, a lot of that knowledge came in very handy over the years.
Now, what originally made you decide to do real estate?
I was not doing great as a financial advisor, and I was a real estate investor, and I had always had a desire for real estate, and I've been in sales my whole life, and if you're working on commissions, sell expensive stuff, and I haven't found much more expensive than real estate in my life. So here I am.
Very good. What made you finally decide I'm going to do this?
I kind of knew I wasn't going to be at Merrill Lynch for too much longer. The way things were going, I was not hitting quotas and wasn't really giving it all the effort, and didn't love it. It was very very stressful being in banking, and I the real estate just seemed desirable, and I thought I could do well at it, and turned out I could.
So the funny thing is, I remember the first day you called and started to inquire about our school, the School of Real Estate. And it was a million years ago, Jack. And I remember telling my wife, this guy knows how to talk. It was absolutely true. How did you find the best school of real estate?
I was just poking around online. I was a Thursday. I had gone in and talked with my director, and he we got along very well. Everybody at the facility, liked me, and he said, "Look, I'm going to shop around the company, see if we can find something that you can do within the company." He said, "In the meantime, you go look around and see what you might want to do outside the company." And that was a Thursday, and just like a switch. I want to tell you, it's just coming back to me now. A friend of mine owned the Margarita Bar over on Route One, and I met him over there, and we were sitting out on the patio, beautiful day, and sipping some high-end margaritas on him. And I said, this Merrill Lynch thing is just not working out for me. And he just said, "Dude, why don't you get your real estate license? Then we can all run our deals through you." And I did, and they did. But it's never enough. You really, you have to go out and find your own way for sure. You're never going to have enough friends and family to give you enough business to be successful. Maybe a little head start, a little bump here and there, but you got to get in, roll up your sleeves, and work.
So my wife, who's much smarter than I am, when she first met you, she told me Jack is going to be really successful. So I got to tell her she's absolutely correct. What was any special things you learned in class when you first got started that kind of stuck with you for the entire time?
The fact that you think getting the real estate license is going to be the hard part. I guess that's what everybody thinks. Oh, once I get the license, it'll be easy. And it's not. The real work starts after you get the license. Not that it's not work getting the license, but it's harder to build a business. And I think kind of got the impression everybody thinks that it's going to be different for them, and it's not. It's not an easy business, but it's a simple business. So stick to the plan, work hard, and it'll work out.
So if somebody were to come to you and say, "Hey, should I get in the real estate business?" What would you tell them?
You got to love it. If you don't love it, don't do it. Because it is hard. It's hard to get started, and it can be very demotivating. You have to be ready to prospect on a regular basis, and be ready for rejection and failure. But that's sales in general. That's.
And somebody who's interested in getting the real estate license, what would you tell them about the best reason to come to work for Jack Pedersen Realty?
I have a whole page on this on my website, but
So look on your website first, right?
but we do run a very. It's almost like a family here. I mean, everybody works together. We don't tolerate any backstabbing, any bad attitudes. We tell people that you always do what's best for the client. You can never make a big enough commission to buy back your reputation, and that culture, and everybody tries to help each other. And we're very competitive with pay plans. And these days, franchises were more important years ago because everything wasn't at your fingertips on the internet. When I came in, they were probably more of a factor than they are now. Again, because everything that you got through the franchise, you can now get very readily and affordably through other sources.
Well, it brings me to another question. When you took your first course, your 75-hour course at Best School of Real Estate, do you feel that the class requirements prepared you to do business or just prepared you to take the test?
It was both. It was both, and you were clear on that. And as I said, that's one of the things I remember is, you were preparing us for the test and the business at the same time. There's no point getting the license if you don't make any money with it. So yes, both, all of the above, and a good balance. Look, you've been doing this a long time, and you can definitely walk and chew gum. So.
Well, the thing that I find most remarkable about Jack is he came to us. He came to our 75-hour class. 3 years later, he came to our broker's class. Then he came and we gave him some advice on how to set up his own office, even what name to use. I remember at one point you were going to use a different name, and I kind of said, Jack, no, use Jack Pedersen. That's the best name you could ever use. So it was nice to have you all throughout your growth in real estate. And you really become a competitor in some aspects, but also a great friend. So we really appreciate having the opportunity to work with you and to help you any way we can.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. It's been my pleasure.
When you first got your license, what was your first few years like in real estate?
Okay. So, do you remember what year that was?
Lee, what year was it? You
really? 2005.
2005.
Yes, just in time to watch everything fall off the cliff.
Wow, that's right.
Of course, the same thing happened in financial services, so it wasn't like I would have changed anything. But yeah, it was a struggle. There was a real struggle. Prices were dropping. Everybody was scared. It started to go bad in 2006. And then around 2008, I started thinking, that's when we bought the building, right?
That's when we bought the building,
and
yeah.
we kind of thought everything was turning around, but no, it was just turning harder to the bottom. It just got worse in 2008.
So when you first started, it was a bad market, but that doesn't mean there's not real estate business. Do you remember your first deal, your first check?
Yes, and that'll go with the fake it till you make it story, because I just gotten licensed, and I had a friend owned a restaurant, and as soon as he heard I had a license, he told me he was looking for a house. We went and we found him a house, and I showed the house and negotiated the house. And back where we used to do the offers in person, and we finally got the buyer and the seller sitting down with the contract in front of us, and the buyer threw down his bottom line, and the seller threw down his bottom line, and they kind of sat there and crossed arms, the worst sign you could ever, locked up. They're completely locked up. And my buyer looked over at the seller and he said, come on, we got to do this. It's the guy's first deal. And the guy looked at me and said, this is your first deal? I mean, he was completely shocked, because I never said that I had a lot of experience, but I was faking it. I was faking it till I made it. I had all the confidence in the world. I never let him know that I was new to the business. And he then reached across the table and said, oh, hell, let's just split the difference.
And you made the deal.
Yeah. So anytime I get in a similar situation, I just tell them it's my first deal. No, just kidding.
The remarkable thing is you remember your first deal, and I remember my first deal also. That's like a very important thing in our lives. But you should certainly remember your last deal, because that's the biggest commission check in your entire career, and it's something that people could aspire to. Want to tell us a little about that deal?
Well, sure. And that was a industrial property that I had started years ago, just handling leasing. Guy called me up looking for tenants for some space. He had 4 units, an industrial complex, and gave me one, and it only took me 2 years to get the first tenant in there, but said the market was pretty bad. But eventually, they stuck with me because they knew I was working hard. I was staying in touch with them. They knew the market. They had been in the business for a long time. And eventually, I turned over almost the entire complex. I had all my tenants in there with the exception of one, the smallest one that had been there a long time. Their father never wanted them to sell it. They had agreed never to sell it while he was alive. They lived into his 90s, but when he passed away, they said, Jack, it's time. And I kind of thought, I hadn't really done comps on properties like that in a minute. So I kind of thought we'd be putting it up for what, 4 million. But when I started, and I never listed it. I mean, we took a listing, but it was uncirculated, waiver, broker, cooperation. They didn't want it advertised. But just basically through people who had expressed interest in it. And once the word got out, people started calling. We ended up with 5 interested parties and closing it at $9 million.
So your check was how much on $9 million?
$262,000.
That's a wonderful thing. Do you remember how much your first check was?
No.
Well, I can look that up for you, Jack, and I'll let you know someday. But you went from that to $262,000. Eventually, you got your salesperson's license from Best School of Real Estate, and then you came back again to get your broker's license from Best School of Real Estate. What made you decide to take that step?
Well, you did. You encouraged me to do
Thank
it. Yeah, absolutely. I had, kind of thought about it, but I wasn't even tracking my time. And, you said, hey, you're 3 years now. You should think about your broker's license. I got a class starting, and I did. And then I was your office manager, broker manager for a while.
Broker salesperson, right?
Yeah,
You did a great job. Did a great job right here.
Right here.
Yep.
Right. Since 2008, I've been sitting in the same chair, and the signs keep changing, but here I am.
Here you are. When you got your broker's license, what did that give you that your salesperson's license didn't give you?
A little more credibility. I just felt like handing somebody a card that said broker on it as opposed to the salesperson. I think most people realize that that's a higher level of expertise, knowledge.
So you got your salesperson's license, then you got your broker's license, and then you opened Jack Pedersen Realty. Of those 3, which was the most scary?
Definitely opening Jack Pedersen Realty was definitely because there was not much of a downside. If I didn't pass the broker's test, if I never got the broker's license, it really wasn't going to change a whole lot in the scheme of things. But I never saw failure as an option.
That's right.
That's it. They talk about you burn your boats at the shore. Well, I didn't have a boat. I came in on Uber floats. They dropped me on a rock and told me wait till the tide went out so I could walk to shore. So I was there, no boat, no escape plan. There was no plan B.
What you learned in our Best School of Real Estate Brokers class, did that help you in opening the office?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they definitely. And I did go back and get my instructor's license after that because why not?
I think that's all we can get too. I think after that we're done.
Yeah, well, I guess appraiser's license, but what am I going to do with that?
Yeah, that's right.
And I didn't do much with the instructor's license either. But again, it was, it was a credibility, something you could put on your resume.
How difficult were your first couple of years as Jack Pedersen Realty?
It was difficult. So I had no agents. I had a little bit of a following. I had, built my name up a little bit around here, but I just knew I needed listings. And at the time, listings weren't selling. So
yeah, we both believe listings are king, but sometimes they're not selling.
That's because they are. Yeah. It's because we're not stupid. Despite rumors to the contrary.
That's right.
But listings are king. I mean, listings get you more listings. Listings get you buyers. I decided I needed a dozen listings. What's easier to work with, a dozen listings or a dozen buyers?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So I went out and got a dozen listings, and they weren't closing like today. I mean, today you have a double, you have a dozen listings. You can't have a dozen listings because, 4 close before you can get 4 more. But back then things were lingering on the market. And so I got a dozen listings just so I could have a pipeline of closings so I could keep the doors open. I came in 2005, struggled. When I opened the office, I had no money and no credit.
Those are obstacles to overcome, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I went out and got a dozen listings, and then when I hit that dozen mark, then I decided that the new goal was going to be 21. Now, why 21? Well, I just reversed the numbers, 12, 21. And then I did. I got 21 listings.
When a new agent comes to you, how do you tell them to get listings? What do you tell somebody new?
Sphere of influence. For starters, everybody and you organize it. And you've got to work it. You've got to have a system, some kind of a system. I've worked off spreadsheets most of my life. It's not the best, but yeah, you have to start prospecting. You have to know who you're prospecting. You have to be organizing them and rating them. And well, you were the one that sent me to the Buffini training, which I swear by to this day, and I tell every one of my agents to do it because it just teaches you all of that, and the dialogues and the organization and the follow up and to get a referral based business. And prior to my recent closing, the biggest deal I had ever closed was $2 million. By the way, that building is worth $10 million today, so it's comparable to what this was. And yeah, that was a referral from a guy that I had met at a Chamber of Commerce meeting that we just kind of hit it off. And but yeah, you've got to have an organized. You're in the relationship business. You've got to be constantly forming and nurturing relationships.
So the skill set that my wife first recognized in you from just a couple conversations was that you were really good at talking, you were really good at communicating, and that you knew a million people and a million jokes. And all that really served you well in terms of your real estate career, I guess.
Yeah. When I did this, my brother, I first let him know what I was doing. He goes, wow, I guess you finally figured out how to leverage all those contacts you've been making all these years.
Exactly. What advice would you give to somebody who wanted to get involved in commercial real estate?
It's a long haul. I wanted to do commercial when I got started. I wanted to just do commercial. That was what I wanted to specialize in. And I wanted listings, and I was going on commercial listing appointments, and I was putting really good information in front of people as to the value of the buildings. And they were looking at it and saying, well, if that's all it's worth, I might as well keep it. I heard that a few times. And I thought maybe they were just being polite. Maybe they were going to go give the business to somebody else. But no, those buildings did not go up. So commercial. And
yeah, keep in touch with them until they decide they're going to die or they're going to not keep it anymore. And in the case of your big deal, it was years and years and years.
Yeah. Well, that was an ongoing relationship because I was doing the leasing with them. But no, that's when I just started going out and rolling up my sleeves and selling anything I possibly could. Cape Cods, colonials, buyers, sellers, whatever, I was in survival mode.
Generate those transactions.
Yeah.
So we talked before about how my wife identified you as going to be a really good agent just from a couple conversations with you. And she was right. How do you evaluate whether somebody's going to be a good agent when you first talk to them or meet them?
Well, personality, the big smile when they walk through the door, the positive attitude, the questions they ask, and you just get a feel for people. If you like them, then other people will like them. And if you trust them, other people. And there's two kinds of trust. The one that is that you're a good person that does the right thing, and the other is that you know what you're doing, that they can trust you to have the competency to handle the transaction. And that's the one you have to fake till you make. Not lie, but.
So in terms of growing your office and bringing more people into your office, you have a goal?
Goals haven't been my strong suit lately, but I do have goals. My goals now are to spend more time with my wife, with my kids, with my grandkids. I'm down to I used to work 60 hours a week. Now I'm probably down to 16. I have a management team, so I become more of a consultant. But I turned 65. My wife retired, so that was some life-changing events there. But I'm very happy where I am right now. The other day I got up, I grabbed a cup of coffee and my granddaughter, and she's sitting on my lap playing with her little tablet, and the phone's ringing, and I take a call and I make a call, and and I realized I'm working a $3 million deal with my granddaughter in my lap
That's a wonderful thing.
and a cup of coffee.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, so life is good.
So, in terms of people joining your office, what opportunities are there here for people?
I think the best I heard it put was, we're the mall, they're the store. Okay, you're a business within a business, and we will give you what you need to build that business. You have to want it, and that's the biggest thing. If you have to want it, you have to be willing to work. And I'm going to back up. Some of the best advice I ever got, and it didn't even fully hit me until years later, was somebody told me prospect 2 to 3 hours a day, and I kind of laughed. I was like, 2 to 3 hours? I'm working 10 hours a day. I don't hear it's 2 or 3 hours. But what she meant was direct prospecting, picking up the phone, working that sphere influence, building that sphere influence, not putting together mailers, not sending out emails, but it's the direct contact, work on direct contact for 2 to 3 hours a day, and you can't fail. And I didn't do that. I kind of did it the hard way. I managed to succeed in spite of myself. So I used to tell my salesmen, you want to get to the roof, and there's a ladder sitting there, and you could just take the steps and go up to the roof. Or you could be like me, and you could just try and jump real hard and grab the rim and pull yourself up. It's kind of the way I did it. So I got there, but there was an easier path, and I didn't take it.
So I've got a couple more questions for you. Just one of these things where I'm going to ask a question, try to give a short answer, just stream of consciousness kind of things. Real estate changed your life because?
Because I enjoy work.
That's a good thing. And I'm with you on that. I feel the same thing. Do you remember how much your original real estate license cost you?
I'm going to say $500.
That's about right. I think it was $499 at the time for our 75-hour class. And with one transaction, you generated $262,000. So that's not a gigantic gateway to entry of $499 to get your 75 hours.
I mean, you can't live on $262,000, but it's a start.
It's a start, yeah. It's a good start. If people want to contact you to join your office, what should they do?
Well, I answer my cell phone all the time. It's 908-922-2368. You want to check the company out a little bit? It's jackpedersenrealty.com, and it's the Norwegian spelling, Pedersen.
So I got to tell you a funny story. Years ago when you first got licensed, I ordered a set of cards for you because for brand new licensees, I always order their first set of cards, and I spelled your name wrong. And you were so mad at me for spelling your name wrong. You should have told me.
Still am.
So, Jack, thanks for the time this morning. I appreciate it very much. And I got to tell you how proud I am of you. And it was a very good decision my wife made by saying, he sounds like he's going to be good. You've been a friend. We've been in business together. We've done transactions together. I've never seen you be mad. I've seen steam come out of your ears, but I've never seen you be mad. So it's been a pleasure, Jack.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure, and it was a great move for me. And I'll just go another quick one here. When I first got licensed, you had a local office, and I opted to go someplace else. And the main reason I did is because you were so busy. I said, this guy doesn't have time for me. He's all over the place. He's running an office. He's running a school. So I decided to go someplace where they had a little more time. And I spent a year with another broker, and I realized that you were worth chasing. You were worth waiting for. So
thank you.
I came back.
Thank you very much. Jack, thanks a lot. We appreciate your time today and wish you great success in the future. I'll sell your listings, sell my listings, and we'll all see if we can work 6 hours a week and make a living.
All right. Have your people call my people.
That's right. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, sir.